I kind of hate to make a video like this, but honestly, you animation fans need to understand exactly how the animation business works sometimes. Hey everyone, this is Kevin Rodriguez, film critic of iCritic.net. Thank you so much for spending some of your time with me today. And I'm sorry if this is your first time here, because while we tend to be in a much better mood around here in the world of the iCritic sphere, I'm going to be talking about this situation. I don't even know if it's a situation, honestly, but it's a perception that really bothered me the more that it developed. And I think it kind of ties into the fact that a lot of the people that I interact with sometimes don't seem to understand that their hobbies and their passions, while they bring you joy, are fundamentally business at the end of the day. And I'll cite just a couple examples early so you can kind of understand where I'm coming with. It's kind of like the two situations that seem to come up the most for me on X and Facebook and Threads, whatever social media account that you're using. The first one is Disney no longer makes stuff that they created before Bob Iger came along, and they keep changing the theme parks to new stuff. And that's a problem for a few reasons, because one, they do have like active Mickey Mouse cartoons and things like that, and Walt Disney always wanted the theme parks to be updated, and Disney himself would put his own IP in rides. But when some of these fans act like, well, why do Disney do this? Why do they do that? And it's like, they make Marvel movies because the Marvel movies make money, and they are updating the rides because the old ones are not as popular as they used to be. It's nothing personal. It's business. Another thing that comes up when critics don't like an animated film. Recently, a lot of critics don't like the Super Mario Brothers movie, Wish, or Trolls 3. And the reason is because none of those movies are very good. In fact, Trolls 3 might just be one of the worst films I've seen this year. And yet, I've seen like a lot of hullabaloo online, like, who are these critics? Why must they insult people who like these movies? We're not insulting you if you like these movies. If you like these movies, then go be with Jesus or whoever you worship. I'm so glad you enjoy them. I hate to see people having a bad time, but it is our job to share our opinions, even if they are not entirely positive. And the fact that this is a concept that is beyond some people's recognition is baffling. Now that brings us to today's subject, which is Aardman Pictures. Now, Aardman Pictures, you probably are most aware of as the creators of Wallace and Gromit and Shaun the Sheep. They also made the critically acclaimed movie Chicken Run, which is getting a sequel on Netflix in December. And Aardman is primarily known for, well, claymation movies. They have made a couple computer animated films, most notably Flushed Away and Arthur Christmas. And Arthur Christmas is excellent, by the way, and since Christmas is coming up, you haven't seen it, you should definitely check that one out because it is wonderful. But they have been producing pretty consistent quality movies and shorts for many years. Well, The Telegraph did an interview with some people there, and they found out something very interesting, that the clay supply company that Aardman bought their clay from had gone out of business. Aardman had bought out the rest of the clay, and that basically they only have enough clay to make one more movie after Chicken Run 2, which is an upcoming Wallace and Gromit movie. Now, here's the thing with that. In the article, there were no alarm bells going off as people being panicked. They did mention that it was harder to find clay that they needed because the clay not only had to be bendable and movable and things like that, it had to be able to stand up to the lights that were going to be on the clay for hours and hours on end. So they have to find a new supplier. That's basically what was being said. Now, The Telegraph wrote this as like this really dire thing that basically they only had enough for one more film, and then who knows what's going to happen after that. And of course, since most people don't even read the articles anyway, and this one is behind a paywall, of course they looked, I should say they, as in most people, looked at this headline, and it was like, oh, doom and gloom, everyone. Aardman is running out of clay. We got to do something. And then there was the hashtag, because there's always a hashtag. And I think this is where the situation started to rub me the wrong way. And I want to preface this by saying I am glad that people care about Aardman this much to speak out on their behalf. I am very happy that Aardman still means something to people in this day and age, that their claymation shorts and their claymation movies still speak to today's generation. I will say, warms my heart, especially knowing how CGI definitely took over everything, and so to have a studio that still primarily does old-fashioned stuff, and let's be honest, stop motion was an outdated and cumbersome process long before computers were even a glimmer in Steve Jobs and John Lasseter's or Ed Catmull's eyes, whoever you want to credit for creating computer animation or mainstreaming it. Like, it's nice to know that people still care. That being said, we have to understand something. So the hashtag going on X and Facebook and Instagram was give Aardman more clay, or something along that lines, where basically the animation community was rallying behind Aardman to basically make it known to people that Aardman needs more clay for future animated movies. And this is where I feel there's a big disconnect. And maybe some people might not even understand why this is bothering me, but hear me out for a minute. Aardman is a business. I cited this with the last two examples. Why does Disney focus on Marvel properties in the movies, and why are they updating their theme parks? Because business-wise, it makes sense. Why does Aardman need clay for their movies? Because they are a business, and this is the business they chose to get into. But here's the thing. Make no mistake. We can love Aardman films. We could have them want to make claymation films forever. But you know what? It is not our responsibility to fight on their behalf in this regard. And it is no company's responsibility to give Aardman clay just because they liked Chicken Run or The Pirates Adventure with Scientists. No. Aardman is a business. They have chosen claymation as their business. And if they want more clay and they don't want to go out of business, then they need to find a new clay supplier and they need to buy some. I don't care that Chicken Run is one of my favorite movies of all time. I don't care that Wallace and Gromit are a couple of the greatest animated characters to ever be created. Aardman cannot figure out a way to reliably buy clay for their movies, then you know what? They have no business being in the movie business. Aardman needs to look after themselves. If they can't find clay that works for their benefit, then they must either make movies that are not made with claymation, or they need to get out of the movie business. Now, here's the thing. Other production companies have done stop motion stuff. Warner Brothers has done stop motion animation. Disney has done stop motion animation. I find it hard to believe that this one company is the only company that Aardman can buy clay from for their stop motion movies. If Aardman is coming out saying, hey, we need a clay for our movies, one of the things that they also mentioned was how much clay they bought from the last company. That is not Aardman crying for help. That is Aardman inviting makers of clay to call them and say, hey, what kind of clay do you need? Maybe we can help you out. This is about money. No one should be obligated to give Aardman free clay when Aardman is making movies and then selling them for millions of dollars to Netflix. That is not how business works. Aardman needs to go to these clay makers and they must offer them money to get the clay. And if they can't do that, then they really suck at the business they're in and they shouldn't be in that business. But here's the good news. Aardman did come out and they said, look, yes, this company did go out of business, but here's the thing. We have plans. We have other clay makers we are talking to. We are going to be fine, which is pretty much the only outcome that could have happened. I mean, the other thing that would have happened is, hey, our next movie or two is going to be in CGI until we can figure out a suitable clay replacement partner. It's not like clay is this rare source that you just can't get. Companies make them. Aardman just wants to make sure they get the best kind of clay for their movies, and since Disney and Warner Brothers and other companies have gotten clay from not Aardman's supplier, then I think that clay exists. But then we kind of take it to a second level where you see things like this, where it's like, oh, look what happened. The animation community came together and they did something good for everyone. It's like, no, the animation community did not do squat. They did not do squat. Retweeting Give Aardman Clay did not improve this situation at all. Talking about the situation did not improve Aardman's situation. It definitely helped with Coyote versus Acme. That was where the fans and the directors can definitely pat themselves on the back, but people need to get out of their bubbles sometimes, because animation Twitter does not affect real life. The reason Coyote versus Acme got saved is because directors and actors and other people in the business called their reps and said, don't make any appointments with Warner Brothers because they might shelve my completely finished movie. And Aardman wasn't sitting around like, well, geez, what are we going to do? There's no clay. No, Aardman was hard at work finding a new supplier. They leaked out this little bit of information, and honestly, it's not like there was a time crunch. They are making a new Wallace and Gromit movie. That movie could take 2 to 5 years to make. So if they only had enough clay for one more movie after Chicken Run 2, guess what? The next 5 years are covered. And if they can't find new supplies within that 5 years, they again have no business being in this business. But I am so tired of animation Twitter, animation Facebook, just going out and it's like thinking, they did something because they retweeted this hashtag. No, you didn't. In this case, Aardman was always going to get more clay. They were never in danger of going out of business. And if they did not have clay by the end of making their next movie, then it's because someone over there isn't doing their jobs. And tweeting a hashtag that they should be given clay is self-entitlement. Because Aardman is not a charity. They are a business. And if they can't get their own darn clay, then they don't deserve to be making those movies. Again, the best thing about this whole situation is that, again, it showed that people still loved Aardman. And that warms my heart. But make no mistake, Aardman is not worthy of your charity. They are making movies for millions of dollars to sell to distributors for millions of dollars, and if they still want to keep doing that, they will buy their own clay. We're going to end right there. What do you think about all this? I'd love to know. Comment below. Like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.